Welcome to Medicine with the Metals. I'm Mark, and this is Michelle. Join us on our psychedelic journeys. So, Michelle, we got a new gigs. We got some new mics.
I know. We're feeling very professional here. We got these Shure mics.
Shure mics. They sound really good. We just did a promotion. Promotion for Shure mics.
I know we were sponsored.
There you go. Yeah, so we got a good guest today. You know, I met Sam probably about 3 years ago. You know, and he's ayahuasca retreat down in Colombia. Colombia is a different place for retreats. You know, we're going to dive into him. Sam's a really cool guy, really genuine. I think it's going to be a really great conversation.
I think he just had a baby too, didn't he? Didn't they just have a baby?
I thought you said I had a baby.
No, you didn't have a baby.
We did have a baby.
I think Sam had a baby though, or his wife had a baby. Yeah, he's a cool guy. I'm very interested to talk to him about medicine down in Colombia. You know, Colombia can be a scary place, and so definitely. I'm can't wait to talk to him about what he does down there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good guy, good conversation today.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll be right
Sam
back.
Believ. Today's guest, we have Sam Believ from LaWayra Retreat down in Colombia.
Thank you so much for coming on, Sam.
Thank you for having me on, guys. It's always a pleasure. It's the second time, right?
Yeah, second time around. Well, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let's dive into a little bit about what brought you to the medicine and what you do. We'll start there.
So my name is Sam. I was originally a mechanical engineer. I used to work in offshore oil and gas. Changed my life about 8 years ago. Started traveling. I had like a lifelong depression, and it got pretty bad about 4 years ago. So that got me into ayahuasca. Ayahuasca fixed me up, of course, with lots of work involved. And I got very passionate about the topic. So as it happens to some of us, I ended up trying to promote the topic as well. And first started drinking medicine from home, and then, with the shaman. And then it started growing. So I started organizing retreats. And recently also started the podcast. So doing everything I can to get more people into that and get the healing and growth that I believe we all deserve.
Absolutely.
And that was just 4 years ago, you said, that you had your first Aya journey?
Yeah, 4 years ago was my first ayahuasca experience. About 3 years ago, we started LaWayra. It was not called LaWayra at first. It was called ayahuasca in Colombia. And I believe now we are the biggest retreat in Colombia. No ads. It was all just word of mouth. We just kept doing good work, and people just kept coming and more. And as you know, now we are finishing our Maloka. We're going to inaugurate it in April. So I'm very excited. It was a dream for so many years, but dreams do come true, especially
absolutely.
When you drink ayahuasca.
Now, we met about 3 years ago, and I remember you at the ayahuasca in Colombia, and you were just kind of diving into this space, and you were in Colombia, and a lot of these retreat centers aren't in Colombia. Let's tell a little bit about the folks, because your face is beautiful, and we'll show some pictures moving on in the episode, but let's tell some folks the safety factors in Colombia. You know, maybe a little leery, like I was in the beginning, and I was like, well, how are you going to get people down there? But let's talk about that a little bit.
So here's the issue with Colombia. And so a lot of people, when they think ayahuasca, they think Costa Rica or Peru. Ayahuasca is not from Costa Rica. It is from Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, and Brazil. So the reason Colombia was overlooked and the reason tourism didn't develop, and also obviously ayahuasca ayahuasca tourism or psychedelic tourism didn't develop because of the safety. We all know narcos, and we all know Pablo Escobar and all this stuff. But in reality, it's all in past. Like it's Mexico, for example, there are lots of retreats in Mexico, and Mexico is way more dangerous now than Colombia, but people are still living in the past, and there's still this fear. I'll be honest, when I first came to Colombia, I was also afraid. I was afraid. I also watched the Netflix series, and I was scared, but I still did it. There was some kind of calling. I was also afraid when I first went to do ayahuasca. I remember talking to my wife. I was like 50% sure I'm gonna die, but I still did it because there was the calling.
Oh, something died, right?
I thought that you were from Colombia.
No, I'm from Latvia originally. So Colombia was overlooked because of the safety issues. And there is a positivity in that because it was overlooked. It didn't get overwhelmed like Peru did, and it still remained somewhat organized when it comes to ayahuasca. So there are still rules that are being observed. So shamans have to have their paperwork, even though ayahuasca is legal. They don't sell it in the markets. It's still very grounded because the safety is no longer an issue. Like, I think tourism has been tripling every few years in Colombia. So eventually people will learn that it's safe, and more people will come. And because it was kind of overlooked, I guess Colombian ayahuasca is a bit like, yeah, you still have some older plants that are, it's not over harvested. So there's positivity to that. So yeah.
Where in Colombia are you exactly?
We're located 1 hour south of Medellin, the infamous Medellin, where the Pablo Escobar was from. However, Medellin is very safe now. I mean, safe for a big city. Of course, there's still crime, but it's much safer. It's on like crime rates. It's below many big cities in the United States right now.
Yeah. I mean, just go to New York City. We talk like that. So, tell us a little bit about the medicine. Is there a difference between the Colombian medicine, Peruvian medicine? Is there a different medicine, or are you serving Peruvian medicine at your retreats? And then we'll dive into what a little bit of your retreat looks like.
So in Colombia, they call ayahuasca jahe. The difference is very simple. Both use Banisteriopsis caapi vine, so the ayahuasca vine, but Peruvian ayahuasca has chacruna as a source of DMT, and Colombian ayahuasca has chagropanga. So those are both DMT shrubs, but that's the difference. And of course, there are some minor ones with, quantity of harmons and other compounds. But and also, I believe Colombian ayahuasca is thicker. They boil it down, so it's smaller amount, and it's a little thicker. That's from what I know. But in reality, the difference is very small. As I like to say, and it might sound a bit disrespectful, it's kind of like you have red wine and you have Chardonnay, or you have Merlot. Both are red wine. It's that minute. So I don't believe there's a big difference. What they do say is that Colombian ayahuasca is a little bit more intense, but it lasts a little less. For example, with Peruvian ayahuasca, the trip is 5-6 hours. It's a little softer. With Colombian ayahuasca is a little stronger, but it's like 4 or 5 hours. I've never personally drank Peruvian ayahuasca, but we have a lot of people that did both ayahuasca in Peru and all over the world, and that's what I gathered from them. But it's great nevertheless. All ayahuasca is great.
Absolutely.
I've heard rumor that the yahe is a little bit more purge inducing. Have you heard this yourself, or what do you think?
So I've never heard reports about that from people. I think purge wise, it's very similar. There are rumors. They say, jahe is more masculine, ayahuasca is more feminine. However, here at the retreat, everyone still kind of interacts mostly with the feminine spirit. But it's kind of confusing to me to even assign gender to plant spirits. I kind of question that. I think it's not really. There is really no gender. I think it's our interpretation of it.
That's interesting because I think we call mother because at the end of that journey, you just felt so warm and embraced and loved after that journey is over. I think that's where that mother comes from, just that lineage of that. But can you run us through what a typical retreat would look like? Say you come on a Friday. Is that what it is?
No, so we changed our retreat structure quite a bit. We offer 4-day retreats, 1-week retreats, 11-day retreats, and 18-day retreats.
Oh wow!
So people can there's a wide choice now. Most people do 1-week retreats. I believe 1 week is a very nice and balanced kind of retreat for most people. Of course, some need more, some need less, depending on their schedules. But here's how 1-week retreat looks like. People arrive on Monday. We organize a bus from Medellin. We bring everyone here. We start with, introducing the team, some basic rules. Then our Taita and our band, LaWayra band, gives a little mini concert, Taita talks about his tradition, explaining where it comes from, talks about his lineage, talks about the importance of medicine, connection to the nature, all the beautiful stuff. Then we do our first word circle where the group gets to know each other. So the first 24 hours we just spend getting people comfortable so that they know they're comfortable with each other, they're comfortable with the team, they're comfortable with the space. On the second day, we continue with a workshop. We do psychedelic navigation workshop. We teach people how to, what to do if you're not connecting, what you do if you're connecting too much, how to get the most out of their experience. We talk about integration. We issue people with integration journals. Uh, so we basically get them completely ready, and by that time, at the evening of the second day, we start the ceremony. Before the ceremony, we always do half an hour meditation to get them relaxed, nice and ready, and then we do the ceremony. Inga tradition is known for, it's a very musical tradition. There's a lot of medicine music. Some of it is in indigenous in the Inga language, some is in Spanish, but it's very beautiful. And the shaman also sings. He sings very beautifully. I don't know how to describe it, but feel free to find our music on YouTube at LaWayra. And he guides ceremony through music. So I think that's the biggest difference between, let's say, some other traditions which tend to be very quiet. But yeah, and we have 4 ceremonies. We do 3 night ceremonies, then 1 day rest, and we do 1 day ceremony. And then on the next day after that, people leave. We also do lots of yoga, breathing exercises during the retreat goes on. There are massages that we offer. It's so hard for me to think about everything right now. But I think one of the biggest distinctions as well is the day ceremonies, because not a lot of places do them, and people really love them. It's like this cherry on top at the end of the week. Uh, I
Can we
would say
dive into
night
that a little bit?
ceremonies.
Those daytime ceremonies, because I believe you. I've like had my most profound experiences in daytime ceremonies. I think there's an I think there's a misconception that you need to do ayahuasca in the evening. Ayahuasca in the daytime is probably the most beautiful thing you can do. I think because it's just everything's open, everything's just there. Your awareness is just so there. When you're at night, there's a little bit of a darkness to the whole situation.
But I also think it's traditions, right? I mean, Brazilian ceremony, they will not perform it during the night. I mean, during the day. They will only do it during the night.
And theirs are very long. So, I mean, I truly believe those daytimes are just profound.
They're my favorite as well. I think that there's so many different traditions and so many different rules. So when people create retreats and they try to observe all the rules, they get very restricted. So I think it's very important to focus on one tradition at a time, and that's what we've been doing here. What we try to do is, I understand that nights is you don't have any distractions. You are able, in the darkness, you focus on yourself. Of course, there's candle lights and the fire, but you're able to focus on yourself and go deep inside to bring stuff up and sort of start addressing it. And the day ceremony, especially in the beautiful setting like LaWayra is, so I would say first 3 days, 3 night ceremonies, they are the bulk of the work, and they are more of a ceremony. And the day ceremony is more of a celebration, because you see butterflies flying around and birds, and you, instead of going inside, you then go outside and you get that punch of love, and because you see Mother Nature and you feel it from inside, and it's just this cathartic realization of how beautiful life is. And if somebody comes here and they're depressed or suicidal, that's basically what stops that pattern, because you cannot be depressed when you see all the beauty around you. And but of course there's still work being done during the day ceremony, but it is more, because it's light, because it's sunny, because of all the beauty you see around you, it's more positive and more joyful. I think it's important to start with night ceremonies, because if you go straight with day ceremony, it can get a little overwhelming. So the person, by the time they do the day ceremony, they need to know more or less what is going on and kind of know how to ground themselves. But yeah, I love these ceremonies.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about integration for a minute because, Mark and I firmly believe it's why we started the plant medicine path, that integration is the most important part of the journey. So what do you offer as far as integration goes during the time that they're there, and then follow up when they leave as well?
So, as you probably know, most of the integration happens after the retreat is over. What we do during the retreat to help is we provide people with the integration journal. I don't have any on me right now, but it's like a journal which has some questions that allow you to record as much of your experience as possible on the paper. So I think the first step is taking that huge amount of information that you got from ayahuasca and start to slowly put it in the words so then you can keep it. Because a lot of times I notice that ayahuasca visions and ayahuasca revelations, they tend to fade away in your memory faster because of that trance like state. So this is the first step. Second step, of course, the sharing circles where people share with each other and we help them interpret. And also that's also a part where you start to sort of take that short-term memory and put it into long-term memory. But then for after the retreat, we do have an integration coach that does the follow-up with people that want to go deeper. But what we do is we provide people with tools. Journaling is a great tool, meditation is a great tool for integration. And during the retreat, what we do actively is we try and make people be a little bored. We try not to entertain people with too many things, because being bored at an ayahuasca retreat is one of the best ways to integrate. If you just sit there by yourself with the nature, if you're not on your phone, and if you're not busy or entertained with something, a lot of stuff can come up, and then you can journal about it. Then you can talk about it in the word circle. So I would say that's our strategy.
Yeah, I like that too. And it seems like you do it a lot on those retreats. I mean, it seems like as soon as I get there, people are learning picking up a different tool, because that's what we have to do on this path is, I mean, we're learning a few things. We're learning how to reset our default mode system, first of all. And once we reset our default mode system, we need to pick up new tools to not go back to those old thought patterns we had. And that's just important that we do all these things like breath work, meditation, you know, and we need those, especially in the beginning. We definitely need to be grounded, because if we don't, we're just going to be ungrounded, like you say, and go back to those same old patterns. And I love the fact that these 18 days, like my biggest thought concept was back in the day, like, 30 days, 60 days, make these like a treatment center. When you're there, you're there. And that time, I mean, the biggest asset we had was COVID. I mean, when we had that time during COVID, my first experiences 4 or 5 years ago, that was a saving grace, because I had so much time to integrate these experiences and then continue to do it. And when you have those days to do that, it just makes these retreats and these experiences such more successful. And I remember, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, are your retreats still as reasonable as they were? I think they were very, very reasonable. Like, what is your 7-day retreat cost?
I think they're still very extremely reasonable, to such an extent where I'm constantly running out of money. So that's how I can tell. But
So it's part of business,
uh,
right?
we had to adjust the price a little bit due to inflation. Also, dollar went down against Colombian peso, but at the moment we are at 695 for 1 week retreat, including your stay, including the transport from Medellin, food, everything. I just went to a Joe Dispenza retreat, and it was
Oh,
just for hotel I had to pay $400 a day. So I
yeah,
realized how cheap it is what we provide. But I'm sort of constantly trying to fight the price increase, but it's inevitable.
yeah, for sure.
If you would say our price went up by 20% last year, the quality of the experience went up probably by 50%. And
Of
now
course.
having the Maloka, we have a gym now. There's a natural swimming pool. There's so much great things that I always try to over deliver.
I love the idea of the 18 days. I think that's the long one that you said, because like Mark said, it gives you time, right? When people just go away for a weekend ayahuasca retreat. I mean, I've done this myself. When I used to live in Colorado, I'd fly down to Florida for the weekend, do the ayahuasca retreat. I'd have to fly back on Sunday. Hopefully I'd get one day off, go back to work. That's no way to do it. It was very difficult.
Yes. With ayahuasca, right? You come here and you open up and you're so suggestible and so vulnerable. And then you go on the airplane and there's maybe a kid screaming or somebody's not nice to you, and it gets to you so much quicker. So I think it's very important to find time afterwards. So what we also offer now is people that come here, they can also stay afterwards for as long as they want, pretty much. If you want to come here and do ayahuasca retreat and then stay for a month, be in nature, be productive, be healthy, we allow people to do that now. Regarding the length of the retreat, I want to talk about that a little bit, because for some reason first timers always think that they need to start with less, and a lot of first timers want to come and do the weekend. But as you probably noticed with ayahuasca, sometimes it takes time to learn how to connect and learn how to kind of understand the language of ayahuasca and what it's trying to tell you. So I highly recommend first timers start with 1 week or maybe even 10 days. And then the 4-day retreats, the 2 ceremony ones, I believe they're more for people who done ayahuasca before. They just need a refresher and they're on a busy schedule. And for those who want to dig deep, or let's say they're on a spiritual path, or there is a specific issue they want to deal with, then 18 days is a good idea. So I would say on average here we have about 10% of people who do 18-day, about 10% of people who do 11-day, 20% to do 4-day, but rest do the week. The week is very really bread and butter of like a consistent results and sort of medium time investment.
What are the accommodations for, and especially if people stay, long term?
For long-term people, we do have cabins. So people that stay in between the retreats, we have cabins. They're really, really nice. For people on the retreat, there's 2 options right now: shared room, dorm style room, and or a private cabin. The private cabin, of course, is for extra cost, but it's extremely nice. Like every cabin overlooks the nature. Every cabin has its own bathroom, balcony with the hammock. I don't know if you can maybe show people the photo. I think you should have that.
It's just very inspiring. I mean, $700.
Look how beautiful that is.
To really evolve and change your life for the weekend, for a week. I mean, and just throwing the cost of maybe an airfare. So we're talking less than $1,500 maybe to have the healing experience of your life. I just can't. It's pretty remarkable.
Well, Mark and I talk about that all the time. People not going to, people, especially first timers, say, I can't go out of the country. I couldn't go to South America. I just have to go to Florida or wherever for the weekend. And we always say it actually costs less to go to where we went in Costa Rica, but to go down there, to go to your place, and you're having an authentic experience. It's not the same as drinking medicine in the United States. It's
to
just
sit with
not.
a real tribe. To sit with the tribe.
You sit with the tribe.
Nothing is more profound than that. Tell us about your tribe.
We work with Ingas. We have worked with Ingas for the last 2 years exclusively. I really love their tradition, of course, because of how musical it is. The lineage we work with also, Hohoa lineage. It's a very long one, and I like how a lot of people they get somewhat scared to do ayahuasca because, let's say, they're Christians and they think it's very pagan and kind of dark, and Ingas they use a lot of, they have a very strong connection with Christianity. Not that they like wear crosses or stuff like that, but they were mostly Christianized, and because of that, I think it makes it very comfortable for people who are Christians to sort of find that balance. What else can I tell about them? Yeah, it's a very musical tradition, um, a very pure tradition. Their ayahuasca is always very pure, and they never mix it with anything, and they focus on one thing at a time. I like that as well. Our shaman right now, he's been a shaman for like 10 years now. He's a great musician. His father is also shaman. Yeah, they're just great people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
understand.
Yeah,
How many times a
that's
night do you
Fernando.
drink in the Colombian tradition?
It's generally about two cups per night. The medicine is pretty strong. Sometimes we go up to 3, but I think most people don't want it anyway, because then it kind of feels like two different ceremonies in the same night.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. But when you, like we were saying, these tribes just mean so much. You know, they mean so much to what we're doing, this whole part of what we're doing. And we've lost that compassion for them. I mean, me and Michelle support a tribe, and just last month they've lost their whole village during the floods. And these people have carried on these medicines for eons and eons. And I mean, they've actually shown us our pharmaceuticals, if you really come down to it. I mean, we've watched their culture, and that's how we have our medicines today. And it's just forgotten. And we just have to show them so much more respect.
It's important not to forget these are indigenous medicines.
Definitely. I feel very good that my shaman is indigenous, and that some of the economic benefits go to him and then to his people, that his family and his tribe and people who help him grow the medicine, and not just kind of keeping all the benefits, because as you say, they've suffered a lot to make this tradition, to keep this tradition alive, because it was not easy. There was always repercussions for being a shaman or for drinking the medicine, because with Catholicism it was all pretty much a crime.
There's always the light against the dark anyways. And you say it the best about the music, how the music in any ceremony, Michelle, us, it's just something about the music. It just brings whatever is in you out of you.
It can guide the ceremony almost. I mean, it can really, the music can assist the purge. It can really, the music is powerful.
Yeah, I sing and play guitar as well, myself, and I occasionally come to the ceremony to sing. The best compliment for a medicine musician is when you sing and people start puking.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. People would laugh. I mean, people would say, "Is that crazy?" But you are absolutely correct.
You can feel it, right? You can feel that moving through you, and it's like, oh my God, what is happening?
What is that? And it's it's so profound. It's like when you're done with that experience, when you have a great purge, or when you thank whoever you're thanking, it's just so beautiful. And it's something about a purge that's like that, a purge that actually moves that music out of you. It's because at the end of the day, something happened, something was released, and it's great. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's like next morning after ceremony, thank you, I loved your music, you made me puke, right? It would be very counterintuitive for outside of the ceremony, but for those who drink, you understand that you're able to move something, and it's a compliment. For me, I sing and I hear people start puking, I'm excited.
Even if you don't stay in the space, you still almost tend to listen to this music. It's just kind of
afterwards.
It just seems like everybody always just listens to this music afterwards, and then they gravitate more, like we were talking, like Jesse Nomes,
because it brings you back. It brings you back.
The music always kind of just brings you back to those experiences, which is really, really powerful in itself.
Yeah, music and smell. If you combine those together, you can go back. You can almost feel like you're tripping again if you listen to the music and, let's say, use the same perfume that Taita uses. It's like a brain teleports you to that feeling.
It does, and I'll tell you this too. It's the taste of ayahuasca. I mean, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it quickly. I was a lifelong cigarette smoker, minus the time I was having children. And the first time I went and did ayahuasca, it was not my intention at all to quit smoking. And I smoked that weekend, believe it or not, while I was there. But every time I would go to smoke, it would taste like ayahuasca. And the people there would tell me that's because it's in your system. And well, I never smoked again because I would try to smoke and Mother Ayahuasca would be right there. And I don't like the taste of that ayahuasca. And that's what would come up every time. And I've never smoked since. And that was 5 years ago. So taste there's something very profound.
Now we have to be very careful as ayahuasca is going mainstream to make sure that it doesn't happen to ayahuasca. If we take away the shaman, if we take away the tradition, if we try and put it in a pill and just remove any context, it can also get Frankenstein the same way. Because I never smoked before. I never smoked cigarettes in my life, but after working with ayahuasca, I started working with tobacco as well. Specifically, tobacco leaf and in like a cigar form, but it's not really a cigar. But if you it's not about the substance and it's not about the thing. It's about the intention. I don't think it would work with a cigarette, of course, but if you take a tobacco and you set your intention and you want to get some information or connect to something, you can get a healing from it. But if you do it without any intention, it can hurt you. Let's say ketamine, I mean, it's not a plant medicine, but it is a strong psychoactive compound that if you do it in the proper setting, it can heal you. But if you do it in an improper setting and without a good intention, it can kill you. Plant medicines are tools. It's like the analogy I like to use. You have a knife and you can take a knife and cook a nice steak dinner for somebody, or you can stab somebody in the heart and kill them. So it's not about the tool. It's about how we use it. And I'm very, very worried about sort of making psychedelics more and more new age and running away from the tradition where it's going to put us in. And especially it's great, science is great, but if we now try and put ayahuasca in a tablet and somebody does it after work in their apartment, all sorts of things will happen, and then it will be blamed on ayahuasca, even though it's as far away from it as possible.
Yeah,
I appreciate you saying that because we agree with you completely.
Yeah, because I mean, tobacco is such a cleansing medicine. It's just beautiful. I mean, it actually, at its purest form, there's nothing wrong with tobacco. It's a cleanser more than anything.
Well, but we come to abuse it.
We come to
us Westerners
put chemicals
do that.
in it. They come to put those chemicals, and just like Sam was saying, it's what the Western world does. I mean, the Western world found these medicines through Amazon, through nature. I mean, the scientists went out there in the 30s and 40s and saw what the monkeys were eating and how they died and they watched all these creatures, and that's how we've created all our pharmaceuticals. And we've done a lot of damage with big pharma. It's like really put bad stigmas to a lot of these indigenous medicines. And when we talk about science, right, Michelle, we talk about science a lot, but what is science? Science is just going back to what we've been doing for eons and eons and eons, and it's fucking worked. So why aren't we continuing to let it work? We've been telling a big lie since the 60s with psychedelics, and it's really stigmatized a lot of people. Like we say it all the time. We're scared. I mean, because it's a fear factor. But, at the end of the day, you say it, Sam, all your stories you do when these people leave your retreats, look at their faces. Look at how they're glowing. I mean, you don't really hear any bad stories when these people, I mean, all these are life-changing. It depends what you do after. I mean, you can either just leave it as an experience, or you can go into it as a life transformation, whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, I think ayahuasca and other plant medicines, if done responsibly, if done traditionally, if done with an intention, they will always be a positive experience. The only time it gets negative is when your shaman is not a real shaman, when the medicine is not pure, or where you don't follow the rules and don't do the preparation that's required and start mixing it with, once again, the modern day stuff, like, as you know, mixing antidepressants with ayahuasca can be very, very dangerous. So
yep, for sure.
Yeah, we feel the same way. It's, you know, as happy as we are about getting the information out there and some of these things are really becoming mainstream. It's also very scary because we do not want big pharma to take this over. So, you know, we walk a fine line. And that's why Mark and I feel it's important to represent the indigenous, to talk about the indigenous, to bring it to light, and to have people understand that while we're in this for the mental health, of course, there is also a very spiritual aspect of these medicines. And I knew that before, but I'll tell you, I didn't fully feel it in my soul and understand it until I went to the jungle and sat with Mana and had the full experience.
And had a pound of hot babe blown up our nose.
And yeah, and almost died from hot babe.
I mean, that was probably I've done a lot of all medicines. I've done all the medicines. And I think that hot babe experience was it was something different about it. It was just,
it was profound. Everybody uses that word. They overuse that word, but it was.
But it was done in the middle of a ceremony, like you're 2 medicine deep in, and then he's taking you out there and he's blowing a pound of hot babe up each nose. And what he's blowing through is just his energies. It's just, wow. He put everybody down. Everybody just do, just like soldiers.
Good indigenous medicine, it always hurts first. Like, you know, with ayahuasca, there's purging and there's discomfort and pain, rapé as well. And it's always, that's a good indicator, right? There's pain first and then good results later. It's not going to be something you can use to sort of escape, because there's always going to be a balance.
There's that's work involved. It's not just taking a pill or drinking some tea, and that's just not what it's about. It's not a do it one time and it's fixed. It's practice. It's practice every day. It's work. It's integration. So it's not an immediate fix by any means.
And before we wrap this up, Sam, why don't we jump into where we can find you?
Yeah, guys, come over to LaWayra. The best way to find us is LaWayra.com. It's LAWAYRA. Also, if you Google ayahuasca in Colombia, you'll probably find us because the site does redirect to ayahuascaincolombia.com. If you want to check us on social media everywhere, you can find us as LaWayra or LaWayra Ayahuasca. Check out our podcast. We have some great guests. We interview people with success stories from ayahuasca and also experts in the field. It's ayahuascapodcast.com. Very easy to remember and easy to find. So would love to have you over.
Thanks. Well, thanks for everything you do, Sam. I appreciate you coming on today. We will spread the word about you and we'll get this podcast out there.
Your place is absolutely beautiful there. On a personal note, you know, congratulations. You're expecting your 3rd baby. Tell me just quickly before we go, because you said you went and did the ayahuasca first, and clearly your wife is supportive of this. So what does she think of all this?
Mm-hmm. She also occasionally drinks ayahuasca. She's a big fan. She helps me run the business as well on like administrative side and hospitality side because it's too much work for just me. Our kids also drink tiny amounts of ayahuasca, like a droplet. It's very traditional. So our family is very, very grounded in this tradition. And I mean, it's such a beautiful tool. I believe that let's say if my business was not based on ayahuasca and if I was just an entrepreneur, which I am, I would probably get burnt out by now. And me personally, drinking ayahuasca once a month has kept me sane, helped me go through the tough periods. Together with tobacco as well, for example, when I get completely, overwhelmed, it can be a really grounding medicine, both in the form of rapé or in the form of a tobacco that you smoke. Of course, you don't inhale it. I've been it's been really helping me, and together with sort of synchronicities that happen and keep guiding us in a certain direction. Thank you guys for having me over. I also appreciate your work. I think it's all necessary. One viewer, one listener at a time. We are slowly changing the world, hopefully to that beautiful, bright future when my dream is one day you wake up in a world where yesterday everyone had ayahuasca, and then there will be maybe less pain and suffering. So that's the dream.
Thank you, Sam.
Sam. Amen.
I love your
Thank you, brother. Have a great day.
Sam Believ from Colombia. That was a great talk.
A really good one. You know, I like to show people these experiences, these retreat centers. And for that price, Michelle?
That's incredible. I mean, think about that. $695 for a week. To go to even the church in Florida is what, $1,400-1,500 for the weekend.
That used to be my bar tab. Kidding me?
But it's not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, so, it's an incredible
because of ayahuasca.
It would be an incredible experience, you know, and all joking aside, to go to the jungle and drink this medicine with an indigenous tribe is
it's amazing.
I'm not going to say more powerful, because it's all powerful, but is an experience that you really should have.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So he was great. I really enjoyed talking to him.
Well, we're going to have a great psychedelic story today.
Really looking forward to hearing. We love these psychedelic stories. If you're interested in telling your psychedelic story,
go to Medicine with the Metals.
That's right.
Scroll down to the bottom.
Yeah. Hit Tell My Psychedelic Story, and you can get connected with the Calendly link. And we'd love to hear your story.
And subscribe. We need subscribers.
Please
I think
subscribe.
We're giving away a gift to every subscriber. We don't know what that gift is yet, but I think we're giving one away.
We'll come up with one.
Hello, my name is Tara, and this is my psychedelic story. I was born in Rochester, New York. I'm 51 years old. I've done a lot of traveling through my life, and some people call it wandering. I call it life. I've had a lot of bad experiences on my wandering tour, if you want to call it. Some experiences more profound than others, and some experiences so horrifying that I lost the ability to be able to sleep. I lost the ability to be able to speak. And I lost the ability of being able to leave my home because some of these instances, and I thought my life was going to be over. I'm a super sensitive person. I grew up in a setting in the forest or the country, and I feel sometimes people who grow up in that way tend to be a little more empathetic, maybe not. I had gone to counselors and forced doctors upon me and medications upon me that did horrible things to me, to the point where I was blistering. I'd have thousands of blisters on my body. I couldn't go to bed. I couldn't go to the bathroom. My doctors just kept giving me more medicine top of medicine on top of medicine. That was making me very ill. So I decided if I was going to continue to live on, I wasn't going to be able to live in this fear my head was in this life. I don't have a support system. I want to enjoy life, and I want to be part of life. I decided that I was going to have to be brave and follow my intuition, follow my faith, follow what I believe is truth in nature and in God or the universe or whatever you want to say. But follow my faith and trust something that had been broken away from me as a very young age. And I decided that I had to do it, or I would be somewhere else, not pretty right now.
Wow. That was, some people, their trauma is just written all over them, right? And some people hide it, which it's no judgment on either side. But that woman she just broke my heart.
She has a lot of layers to peel. Yeah.
I love that she had the courage to come to Bufo. And it is a very, very scary thing to do, right? Any of these medicines, and Bufo especially. And I had the same experience the first time. I don't know if you remember, but I went to I was terrified to do it the very first time. And So I went to go to the bathroom and I was thinking, I'll be last. I'll go last. I'll be the last one. I'll make everybody go. And I walked back from the bathroom and Zia was like, you're it, sister. I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. And that was the best way to do it. And that's what she said too, is that gave her the courage to do it. And wow.
Yeah. I feel she's going to continue this path.
I'm proud of her for finding the courage after a lifetime of trauma and having the courage to go and do that. So that was beautiful.
Absolutely. Oh, what's coming up this week, Michelle? What have we been doing? Where are we going?
Well, we got Mama Dose, lots coming up for Mama Dose. We got her new packaging coming out. We've added
two more products.
Yep, 2 more products. What are
journey
those?
Caps.
Yes, 5-gram journey caps and our cacao caps, which are
a hit.
People don't really understand what this is. So cacao, just think of it as cocoa, right? It's cacao, but this is ceremonial cacao. It's used in ceremony. It's very heart opening, and it blends really beautifully with psilocybin. And so this is a mixture of both of them, and it's just a beautiful combination.
It's a great heart opening blend.
It's a heart opener.
We got revamping the directory, which we're probably
we can announce that, right?
Yeah.
The Shava.
The Shava directory.
That's what it's called. It's going to be the Shava.com, and it's community, it's the geo directory, it's everything.
We're focusing, rebranding that right now.
We're focusing that now, so that's going to be coming out soon. And then we have PsyCon coming up next month.
PsyCon, yep.
Yeah,
PsyCon's going to be really exciting. That's going to be May 8th through the 13th.
Yeah, I think we get there May 8th. Brian and Shane are coming with us. We've got a couple members of our team coming with us. Yeah. We're going to be in a booth next to Stephen Kirby, who we're going to be doing a lot of educational pieces with him. More to come on that.
We'll be talking about the educational platform of the Plant Medicine Path, which is going to be really big for a lot of people.
We are going to be offering courses, certifications, all kinds of things. So
big things coming up in the real world.
Lots of good stuff. You can find us at theplantmedicinepath.com.
Medicine with the Metals.
Medicine with the Metals. Mama Dose.
Follow our Facebook group, Plant Medicine Path.
That's right. And go subscribe on our YouTube channel, Medicine with the Metals. Have a beautiful week.
Ciao. Ciao.